What do I want the audience to get out of this play? Probably the same thing that I did, which is that I want your minds to be blown. I want you to laugh. I want you to ask yourself, why did I just laugh at that? Why is that funny? I want you to ask, why can they laugh at that, but I can't laugh at that? Uh, why is it okay for me to laugh at this, but my fellow audience member who doesn't look like me? Why do I have a problem if they're laughing at what I'm laughing at? And what does that mean? I want you to think about the narratives that have been told to us that we just accept without even realizing that we accept, how we don't even realize how we other or compartmentalize or distance ourselves from some not so great moments in our past. I want us to realize how far we've come as a culture, but also realize how far we have to go, and that it's okay to have these uncomfortable situations. I kind of feel that that's kind of where we are as not only an American culture, but as a world culture right now, that we're finally saying it's okay to have these uncomfortable conversations and to learn how to have these uncomfortable conversations. So I want us to have those conversations. I want us to deal with what Branden is asking us to do, which is acknowledge the elephant in the room, acknowledge racism and the colorism that our culture, our popular culture, has embraced for years and years and years. What does it mean to label someone black, white, a multicultural, indigenous, Native American? Who, who's allowed to tell whose story? What does it mean for people who are not of that culture to play a different culture? Can we still do that? What's it like for a woman to play male roles? Is that okay? Is it not okay for men to play women, or what? It just, what is it okay, what's okay and what's not okay? Let's have those conversations. I also want you to realize that this play is so funny and so clever, and that we seamlessly go from speaking in 21st century vernacular to speaking in a 19th century melodrama, and that the original play, The Octoroon, is actually a wonderful play. The Boucicault's 19th century Octoroon was the second most popular play after Uncle Tom's Cabin. Boucicault was the Neil Simon of his day. He was a wildly popular playwright, and the play, The Octoroon, is a great play. The plot is fantastic. You, before you realize that you are caught up in the world of what's going to happen to Zoe and George and to the plantation, and McCluskey is such a bad guy, that and all the twists and turns of the plot are wonderful, and we get to see all of them. So I also want the audience to understand that a melodrama is not a bad style. It was a wildly popular style for a reason. So I love that the audience gets to experience why melodramas were so wonderful. But I also want the audience to think about where we've come as a country and how far we still have to go as a country, and have a fantastic night at the theater, and be amazed by how versatile and how talented all of the designers are and the actors are who created this just beautiful, which I think is just a work of art, this beautiful piece of theater. I think this play changes with each time you encounter it. So I think that this play needs to be seen more than once, only because from the way I've described it, you can see it's almost impossible to describe. You think it's one thing, and then it just instantaneously turns into something else. And it takes the audience a minute to catch up with it. We've had conversations about, do we need to signal to the audience that we're about to do a huge shift in perspective on this play? And I kind of argued against it, because I think it's the playwright's objective to make you feel unbalanced. That the whole play is designed to make you feel unbalanced, and suddenly realize that you're seeing it from a different perspective, and what you thought it was going to be is actually something else. So because of that, I would absolutely encourage people to come back and see the play more than once. I've seen the play, I've directed the play before, and now directing it again, I've discovered things in the play that I never knew. And I know the play pretty well, and I'm still finding things because this play is also very recursive. There's a lot of mirroring happening in this play, both with certain characters and in language that is and dialogue that's said early in the play in one context and comes back again in a totally different context. There's even one scene in the play where we hear one speech twice. And the first time we're kind of laughing at it, and the second time we're not. The play is so clever. I keep saying it's like a Cornell box or a Rubik's cube, that when you twist it, it's suddenly something else, and you don't realize that the playwright has twisted it until afterwards. It's like one of those great movies. It's like Usual Suspects, that film at the end where you go, oh, and then you want to go back and watch it again to see all the clues that led you to that. This play is very much like that. It takes you on this roller coaster ride, so you just have to release and go on the ride, and then you will figure things out. And then once you're caught up with it, you'll want to come back and see how he sets this up, because very often in this play he undersells. It's really funny. He does it a few times in the play where he'll say, gee, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this done. And then he systematically does exactly what he says is impossible to do. At one point, the character BJJ says, the theater is no longer a place of novelty, because we can see and do and experience everything in the world. So I don't know what good the theater is for. And then we realize at the end of this play exactly what the theater is for, because the playwright gives us 2.5 hours where we sit together collectively, and we are forced to think, experience, and be moved by a live theatrical experience. This play is a celebration of the theater. Even though one of the characters says, what good is the theater? Again, he undersells. He shows us exactly what the theater is about. So uh, when you realize things like that, it makes you want to come back and see the play again, because it is just so cleverly constructed. I can guarantee with each watching, you'll learn more and just admire this playwright, this MacArthur genius, and deservedly so. Playwright, I personally think this play is a masterpiece. And the more I engage with it, the more I believe that.